We would like to welcome everyone out to our City Council meeting this evening. We'd like to call this meeting to order. We would like to begin by having a prayer and inspirational thought by Dr. Roel Kudus and a Pledge of Allegiance by Austin Moulton.
Honorable Mayor of the City of Orem, the council members, officers of the city, and fellow citizens, thank you very much for inviting our small Muslim community representative in this OAT event. God willing, I will read a few verses of the Quran, and then we read the closed Arabic authorized translation of it. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. God protect us from the deprived devil, and all praise be to Allah, the God, the most merciful, the most beneficial. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qalu azgasu ahlama ama nahnu betawi ilal halim le alamin wa qala allazina naja minhuma waddakara ba'da ummatin ana unabbi'ukum betabil fa arsalun. Yusufa ayyuha siddiqu aftina fi sab'i bakaratin سمان يأكلوهن سبع إزاف وسبع سنبلات خضر وأخرى يابسات لعلي أرجع إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون. قال تزرعون سبع سنين دابا فما حصدتم فجاروه في سنبله إلا قليلا مما تأكلون. وكذلك ما كان ليوسف في الأرض يتبوأ منها حيث يشاء نصيب برحمتنا من يشاء ولا نصيب أجر المحسنين والأجر الآخرة خير للذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. And the king said, I saw in a dream 7 fat cows, which 7 lean were eating, and 7 green ears of corn, and 7 dry. O notables, expound my vision, if ye can interpret dreams. They answered, jumbled dreams, and we are not knowing in the interpretation of dreams. And he of the two who was released and now at length remembered said, I am going to announce unto you the interpretation. Therefore send me forth. And when he came to Joseph in the prison, he exclaimed, Joseph, O thou truthful one, expound for us the 7 fat cows, which 7 lean were eating, and the 7 green ears of corn, and the 7 dry, and I may return unto the people, and they may know. He said, Joseph, ye shall sow 7 ears as usual, but that which ye reap, leave it in the ear, all save a little which ye eat. And after that will come 7 hard years, which will devour all that ye have prepared for them, save a little of that which ye have stored. Then after that will come a year when people will have plenteous crops, and then they will press wine and oil. And the king said, Bring him unto me. And when the messenger came to him, Joseph, he said, Return unto thy lord, and ask him that what was the case of the woman who cut their hands. Lo, my lord knoweth their guile. The king then sent for those women and said, What happened when you asked evil act of Joseph? They answered, May God, he is blameless. We know no evil of him, said the wife of the ruler. Now truth is out. I asked him an evil act, and he is surely of the truthful. And then Joseph said, I ask for this, that he, my Lord, may know that I betrayed him not in secret, and that surely God guideth not the snare of the betrayers. I do not exculpate myself. Lo, the human soul enjoyeth into a will, save that whereupon my Lord hath mercy. Lo, my Lord is forgiving, merciful. And the king said, Bring him unto me, that I may attach him to my person. And when he had talked with him, he said, Lo, thou art today in our presence, established and trusted. He, Joseph, said, Send me over the storehouse of the land. Lo, I am a skilled custodian. Thus gave we power to Joseph in the land. He was the owner of it where he pleased to. We reach with our mercy whom we will. We lose not the reward of the good. And the reward of the hereafter is better for those who believe in word of evil. So the message the verses of the Quran is self-explanatory. It explains that Prophet Joseph used his wisdom and saved a nation from calamity. However, when he was offered a position in the court, he waited till the false accusation of fornication against him was completely resolved. Prophet Joseph voluntarily opted to serve as the custodian of the commodities and finance of the nation. It indicates that the wise men of the society, irrespective of their age, should seek to serve the government and the society, and they should choose services best fitting to their experience. Prophet Joseph discharged his duties well and averted disasters of a long famine and saved people of Egypt and other people of other nations in the nearby countries. This is a great worldly success, but God promised in the last verse that we read that the reward of the hereafter is even grander. May God make our city community leaders wiser and smarter, guide them continuously through good time and bad, so that they may serve the community the best and make the community a more perfect union of people from diverse race and culture. May God grant happiness and good virtues to all our citizens and every living thing that dwells in this land. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. If we could now have Austin come forward.
Will the audience please rise? Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The audience may be seated.
Thank you, Ruel and Austin. We now would like to go into approval of the minutes of our City Council meeting of January 9th, 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We would like to mention some upcoming events Tomorrow, we have the Utah League of Cities and Towns Local Officials Day at the Legislature from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. There's also a Southern Utah Wilderness meeting in the library, and it will be discussing the Bears' ears, and it will be a panel.
Mayor, I'm sorry, but that I was just given word that is actually happening tonight at 7 p.m. in the library.
Okay. So that's happening tonight at 7 p.m. Thank you, Jamie. The 26th, we have Timpanogos Regional Hospital 20th Anniversary Celebration from 12:30 to 1:30 at the hospital on 8th North. January the 30th, we have Keller Williams ribbon cutting at 11:30 a.m. And February 8th, we have the Huntington Learning Center ribbon cutting at 3 p.m. February 9th through the 10th, we have the City of Orem Council Retreat up in Midway. And on March the 10th, we have the Miss Orem Veterans Ball at UVU Grand Ballroom. We would now like to make some appointments to the Summerfest Committee. Names to be considered, and if you're here, if you'd please stand. Ashley Mann, J. Teresa Davis, and Jana Lynn Coford. Is there a motion to accept these three to the Summerfest Committee?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
So now it's my pleasure to award the Walter C. Orem Award to the Orem Volunteers in Police Service, the VIPs. And if we could have Gary Giles come forward with the VIPs, and I would like to read the award. So it states the Orem Volunteers in Police Service, VIPs, program was started in 1999 with 6 original volunteers. Over the years, it has grown and progressed. As of right now, there are 24 dedicated volunteers in the VIPs program who serve the citizens of Orem with over 2,500 hours service annually at no cost to the city. The VIPs assist with traffic control for vehicle crashes, stalled vehicles, power outages, unlock car doors, assist with animal control calls, issue parking citations, and help with special events such as Summerfest, Veterans Memorial, and races. The VIPs also serve as a mobile watch by reporting any suspicious activity they may observe while patrolling the city. They cannot make traffic stops as civilians, but they have found and assisted in the prosecution of many impaired or reckless drivers and have assisted in locating missing children on a regular basis. Each of our VIPs are a valued and integral part of the police department and the city of Orem. We are grateful for their dedicated and compassionate service to all of us. While we thank and recognize all of the dedicated VIPs, we would like to recognize the following dedicated volunteers for their many years of service. Gile Gale, 18 plus years. Jim Barrett, 18 plus years. J.D. Brisk, 17 plus years. Tom Greenfield, 15 years. Dave Snyder, 15 years. Spencer Whitman, 13 years. Adam Lay, who has put in over 700 hours last year, all while maintaining full employment with Adobe. All of the VIPs are the epitome of what community service is all about. They don't just love their community, but they put in the time to make it better for all of us. Thank you all for making the Orem VIPs program such a great success. Can we give them a round of applause? And I would like to make a motion that the VIPs be given the Walter C. Orem Award. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And if you can stand there, I'd like to bring your award over.
Mayor, would you mind if they come up there and I could get a picture of them for our, I'm sure the Facebook page would like a good photo of them.
Let's have them right here, if you want to join us. And then we'd like to have you shake hands with the
Stand on my shoulders.
I'm the chief of police, not a photographer. This is their day.
We get some tall ones.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. How many years?
I've been in for 18 years.
That's amazing.
I put the program together. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for all you do.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for your service. Thanks for your service. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Chief, thanks.
Thanks. Thanks for what you do.
So we love our VIPs, and I've had the chance to work with them on many occasions, and they're a great help to our police department to spread the work and to carry the load. And again, we just appreciate you very much. Can we give them one more round of applause? Thank you. We'll now go to our personal appearance part of our program, and we would ask that anyone who speak hold their comments to 3 minutes and give us your name when you come to the podium. We'll start with Angel Buseth, and then hear from Bonnie Merrill, and then Devin Rich, and then Todd Hadley.
We all set? My name is Angel Buseth, and I've been here before. You may be tired of hearing from me, but as I listened to the citizens at the Planning Commission meeting on January 17th, I couldn't help but notice who was opposed and who was in favor. It's very interesting that the only ones who were in favor of that development were either students or homeowners who had sold out and moved away. To my knowledge, there are absolutely no current neighbors within miles of the development who are in favor. I've seen that there seems to be no absolutely good reasons for the city or neighbors to approve this. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. We have lists of reasons to deny it. What was interesting to me is students seem to be complaining to the wrong civic body. They wanted, if they want a student housing experience, like on campus and dorms, it seems to me that they need to petition UVU to change their charter and their priorities and to put dorms on their campus. Orem City and residents adjoining UVU are not obligated to meet the student housing need for UVU more than what we have already been doing. Look at all the housing complex around us. Remember, I gave you that visual last time. We had a friend of ours call around, and she found over 100 apartments for students currently open right now. We feel we are already bearing the brunt of traffic and poor quality of life it brings. Students can currently walk to school with the many complexes around. If they want to live closer, then they need to petition UVU. I feel UVU is acting selfishly to support a project that only benefits them and hurts the neighborhood. As previously mentioned, with traffic danger, you probably heard of the young man in our neighborhood who was hit yesterday. And there are other solutions. There are many more complexes approved, and going up to the west of UVU, a walking bridge has been approved. I feel the city has and is meeting the needs of students while they try to listen to the neighbors' desires. I'm running out of time, so let me go. To me, it's a no-brainer to say no to any zone changes for the R8 zones adjoining UVU. We just don't want it out our, we already have it around us, we just don't want it out our front windows and our back windows. I feel PEG made a bad business gamble. The city is under no obligation to bail them out. Keep it zoned R8 and put nice homes there. Orem Orchards is selling out very quickly. There is a demand for family homes in Orem, and it's almost impossible to find nice lots within the city. We are sympathetic to Woodbury and PEG and have appreciated their efforts to try to reduce the impact of this high-density housing, but we all concur, the staff, the Planning Commission, and the neighbors, that this development would only have a negative impact on our community. PEG may not make as much money, but we feel they could probably still recoup their investment if they just put homes back in there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Merrill. My husband and I have lived in the Orem. Well, my husband basically grew up here from a young age in Orem. I came to this area in 1981 and have lived in the Orem area about that long. We built a home about 28 years ago, and raised 3 boys, and it's been a great place. It's been a great place to raise a family. We are currently not too far from having our mortgage paid off and look forward to having a mortgage-free retirement, living again in a very nice, quiet, family-oriented neighborhood. Unfortunately, I look at the PEG development, and I came to that planning meeting and I heard what people had to say, but I kind of feel like, you know what, we're addressing the wrong issue. To me, the issue isn't a development here or a development there. We can block this development perhaps with your help, but then there's going to be another one. And we're already dealing with traffic problems, as mentioned before. We're dealing with a lot of issues. And the bad guy, the elephant in the room, is UVU is growing too big. And it needs to be capped. It needs to be stopped. When we moved here, UVU was an asset to our community. In fact, it was a trade college, and it was an asset, and then became a community college, and it became, again, an asset. Well, now it is so big that tables have turned, and it's almost as if they feel like Orem is their asset, and we're not. So I had a couple of questions. I noticed on our Orem, your website, that Mayor Brunst is on the Utah Valley University Board of Advisors. I'm curious to know what that entails. I would assume that that means you'd be communicating with UVU on a regular basis. I also noticed that Brent Sumner is the UVU Community Relations, and I spoke with Brent on the phone today. I appreciated our phone call and your support, but you didn't really sound like you knew exactly what that even entailed, and you hadn't been to any of those meetings. So my feeling is, yes, I can call my representative, yes, I can call my senator, but I am a very, very small voice, and I don't know whether I'm even going to get much notice, especially right now while they're in session. So my feeling is we've elected city officials to represent us, and we're going up against the big guns. UVU is a big gun. We need you, our council members, to communicate with UVU and talk about, we don't want them to have any more than, they have 37,000 students in a 220-acre area, and predicted that they could get as high as 45 to 50,000 students. The problem is UVU needs to be capped. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Devin Rich. Mr. Mayor, City Council members, thank you so much for all of your service. I'll be very brief. We've already been talking since 3 o'clock today. Thank you for making Orem have one of the best reputations for what a well-managed city looks like. Your efforts have helped to make that and maintain that reputation among many people, I think, within the entire state. Over the last year, I have attended nearly every meeting that the Public Works Advisory Commission has had, or PWAC, and they've been discussing where we can go as a city with regard to Utopia Fiber. I appreciate their diligence in gathering data, working through these possible solutions, and checking if solutions pass a gut test. They have gone through so many different solutions, seeing if they might work, that I can't enumerate them here. They've already told you they can't enumerate them. It's totally true. Today they suggested that you investigate working with Utopia and UIA to accelerate the build-out of fiber within Orem. Because I've attended their meetings, I've been able to see what their efforts included. And I can personally vouch that I approve of their efforts, and I approve of what their recommendation is, that you move forward with looking at whether or not it is actually feasible to get that built out in Orem in the next few years. When I was purchasing a home several years ago, I decided that I wanted to buy a house within the Utopia Fiber network. And I decided that if I couldn't get it within Orem, then I would buy a house in a different city, a less desirable city, to be honest. In future years, other families similar to me, my wife, my kids, will have the same decision, whether we want to buy a house within the Utopia network or if we want to buy a house outside of the Utopia network. If Orem has the entire network built out, then the list will be very simple. Orem will be at the top, and people will want to continue buying houses here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Never spoken at a city council meeting before. I'll start by thanking you.
You want to pull the microphone closer? Thank you.
I'm Todd Hadley, and I've been a resident of Orem for slightly over 30 years, and thanks to some of you, I've been on the Public Works Committee or Advisory Committee the last 18 months and been involved in the decision-making process of the recommendation that was recently made. Personally, I've spent the last 25 years in the fiber community in Utah Valley, working in various areas, and I currently work on fiber networks in 16 countries, from China, most of Europe, and the United States. I'm a technical advisor for a number of companies, and I give advice to companies as they choose where they're going to build and where they're going to expand. I've reviewed the recommendations from the PWAC committee. I believe it is financially the best path. I believe that Orem cannot afford not to do this. I believe that the loss of opportunity, while very hard to measure, is real. For example, I would not consider purchasing a house that does not have fiber in the next location. I have already advised companies to build in Lehigh or American Fork instead of Orem because we didn't have fiber in the right places. As an expert, I am regularly asked, what options do I have? How soon can I get fiber in my area? The status quo, that's 10, 15, maybe 20 years, if you believe the numbers. I strongly encourage you to consider carefully the recommendations of the committee. I believe, not only as a member of the committee, but as a citizen, that it is the best choice. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Todd. We'll go ahead and close the personal appearance portion of our meeting this evening and go on to consent items. The first item is a motion to reschedule the March 20th, 2018 City Council meeting to March 27th, 2018 to accommodate the State Caucus Night. I make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we would like to also, I would like to make a motion to move item 15 from the consent calendar to the scheduled calendar. This is authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement outlining the city's participation in the BLU fund. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We would like to consider the recommendation of authorizing the mayor to execute this agreement. Ryan Clark is our presenter. And we have Mike here with us as well.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I chose not to bore you with slides tonight, so I have 0 slides, so you should be excited. I'm joined by Mike Plaisir. He's the Executive Director of the Utah Small Business Growth Initiative. It's also known as USBGI, and he's also will be the Executive Director of the Business Loans of Utah program known as BLUE. In previous council meetings, you've approved participation in the Business Loans of Utah program, and you've authorized the mayor to sign the BLUE credit agreement. Since that time, the credit agreement has undergone a few minor revisions, and most notably, the Class A lender was Zions Bank, and it has now been replaced with USBGI. Staff has reviewed this change and found USBGI to be an adequate organization to act as the Class A lender, and your city council packets contain the red line credit agreement with these noted changes. We're here to answer any questions that you may have concerning why that change was made. if you so wish.
Any comments? Yes, Sam.
So, question, Mike. So, walk us through a little bit about how your role with those different entities would kind of in other words, are there any potential conflicts of interest in one role versus your other role as you're working on that?
Well, there's 5 roles in there. There's the servicer, the administrator, the Class A lender, and the borrower. And we serve in several of those roles. I think there's always a potential for conflict of interest. We watch that very carefully. But on this, we have USBGI is putting in $600,000 of loan loss reserve in a pool in this. So, we're going to minimize, and our funds are going in to loan the money also. So there's a incentive there for us to minimize any losses on this. And in the changing the Zions to USBGI being the Class A lender, I don't see where that increases or changes those dynamics on the potential for conflict. We see those as minimal and not something in our best interest to allow in there.
Any other comments from the council? Okay, I would accept a motion.
Before we do that, sorry, could I just ask Ryan one more question? So with any of those updates that have happened since the last time we met, is there anything that concerns you or any new risks or increased risks from the last time we spoke?
No, there are not any concerns. In fact, there's an advantage with this change. We now have, I believe, a 0.25% interest rate deduction to the businesses that borrow. With Zions, it would have been a 3.25% share for Zions, and that's now reduced to 3%. So in the end, it will help our businesses. And I'd like to share that we do have a business loan ready to go. Application's been made, and as soon as we finalize these credit agreements and we close on this program with the other cities, we'll possibly have the first loan to take advantage of this program.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, I move that the City Council by motion authorize the mayor to execute the credit agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. We'll start with Councilmember Sumner.
Aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes. Thank you.
Nice work.
Our next item is number 16, scheduled public hearing. The applicant has asked to withdraw this application, and so this is taken off the agenda. We'll move to item number 17. This is a public hearing on purchasing policies and procedures amendment. So the city has asked that this be continued to February the 13th, 2018. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right. We'll start with Council Member Sumner again.
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. That motion to continue passes. We'll now go to number 18, which is a public hearing on the budget amendment for fiscal year 2017 and 18. This is an ordinance amending the current fiscal year budget. And our presenters are Richard Manning and Brandon Nelson.
Mayor, members of the council, while Brandon is picking up, just go over for those in the audience. The city passes a budget in June for the coming fiscal year, which is July to June 30 fiscal year. Following or after every quarter, we will amend it to recognize primarily grants that have been received that we may have planned on submitting for, or did not plan on as the year was coming in, but we never recognize grant revenue until the grant has been awarded and we know the money will come. Then we will budget the revenues and the expenditure. Otherwise, we would be budgeting expenditures, granting authority to spend money without the revenue coming through that will be backing it up. So we'll turn the time over to Brandon for this.
Thank you. So this is, as I mentioned in the pre-meeting, quite a simple budget amendments going on this time. As you can see, a majority of the budget amendments this time are related, those that are marked with a note of 1 are related to grants and donations that the city has received. And as Richard mentioned, simply putting those on so that those grant awards can be spent. And you'll notice corresponding with those revenues on the revenue side, you can see corresponding expenditure categories where those funds are expected to be spent in this expenditure section. Item number 2, note number 2, which we've seen each budget amendment that we've come forward with, is we still have some funds from the Siemens lease in the escrow account that is continuing to earn interest. That project is wrapping up and I believe should be done by the end of February, so we will no longer see that. You'll probably see 1 more of these and then we'll be done.
Brandon, could you go back to that other screen that you just
The
went?
expenditure side here?
Yes, Just wanted to look at that for a minute. So on the Touch a Truck event, tell me what that money was spent on.
So I don't know the specifics of what that was spent on.
I was at the event and they had a lot of refreshments and a lot of things that were going on.
Bernie back there somewhere?
Mayor, Mr. Down can speak to that.
Okay, Steve.
And then this is what it was spent on. It was namely the food.
Okay.
Also, just the rental of some. We paid for some cleaning for using their parking lot from Mountain View High School from their custodial staff.
Okay. Keep that up there if you would, Brandon. Okay, thanks. Do you know, Brandon, just out of curiosity, what we receive in the way of grants in a year total?
Federal or state or both?
Total?
Total, around $3 million.
Okay.
The large majority of that is our community CDBG HUD money.
Sure.
That's by
Councilmember Lindsay.
So we break down the acronym there for Major Crimes Task Force. Can you tell us what the HIDTA stands for?
High Intensity Drug Trafficking. I forget what the A stands for. It could be area.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Association. Nod.
Addiction.
Okay.
And it's a calendar year grant, and so that's why you see it split into 2 different pieces. That grant.
But grants are pretty important to us and facilitate a lot of great things being done.
You bet. I mean, between HUD and the stuff that goes on through that program for low-income housing type area and low-income areas, as well as the next big percentage is obviously the task force, which you see there. They have a huge amount of stuff that runs through us.
And you never really know what they are until you get them.
We don't. Yeah, I mean, it's approximately $700,000 to $1 million every year with all of the grants that they get combined.
Sure. Okay.
You're good there.
Any questions from the council at the moment? So this is a public hearing, so we'll open it up to the public. Anyone who would like to make a comment on this particular topic is welcome to come to the podium. Give us your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing as how no one is coming forward, we'll close the public comment portion of this public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any comments or questions from the council?
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, that we go ahead and amend the current fiscal year budget 2017 to 2018 as outlined in the presentation.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll start with Councilmember Luray.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, the ordinance passes. Thank you. Appreciate it, both of you. Do we have any communication items, Jamie?
Just a couple of things, Mayor. The first thing is you're probably well aware that today is day 2 of the 45-day legislative session, and there are a number of items that, as a city, we're watching. We've specifically invited and asked our Deputy City Attorney, Heather Schriever, to play an active role in representing the city at the legislature this year, and appreciate her efforts. In fact, she was up at the legislature today and engaged in conversations centering out a number of issues that are important to the city. Some of the areas and some of the things that we're focusing on this year include transportation issues. Obviously, homelessness continues to be a area of focus here within the state of Utah. Mayor mentioned earlier today small cell technology. That is something that we're also engaged in conversations with other cities regarding. A referendum law is also a topic of conversation. Again, we have a local legislator who is once again sponsoring amendments to state legislative referendum language. Affordable housing is also a big discussion and focus this legislative session, as well as governance of UTA, which kind of ties into the transportation piece that I mentioned earlier. Finally, just by way of information, tomorrow night is Governor Herbert's State of the State address, and that is typically broadcast on the major networks here in the city. And so if you're interested in learning more about what Governor Herbert is interested in and what his budget reflects, tomorrow evening's State of the State address will be a good place to find out. If you have particular questions about legislation, bills that you're hearing about or reading about, please let me know, and we'll be happy to do some research, even get Heather involved in tracking down some of potentially addressing some of your current concerns. We also do have, as you may know, Craig Peterson, who represents us at the legislature as well, and we appreciate his help with some of these legislative matters as well.
Thank you, Jamie. I understand that there are 1,000 bills that have been opened up and are going to have to be considered over a 45-day period. So pretty amazing feat if they get that done. All right, if there's no further business, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We're adjourned. I was waiting for you to oppose that.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I wanted to stay longer. I'm sure we'll make up for it next time.
We would have enough to,
yeah. Next time we don't have